Alright guys, welcome back. We are playing Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 2, Watanagashi. Last time, everything happened. I don't know, we had a two-hour episode, so, I mean, go watch that, A whole bunch of stuff happened, that is for sure. Um, now, I've been thinking a whole lot about this whole Sadako being cursed thing. And what that possibly means. And I just have no idea. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. Um, Someone brought up the idea that this is, that the Mion who said all of that is actually Shion pretending to be Mion. And of course that's possible, just like always, but I don't know. I feel like this isn't. I feel like this is Mion doing this, saying this crazy shit. Not that I have any reason to, it reminds me very much of, the crazy, insane, supernatural stuff happening in Onikachi, where it's very clear to me that in some way, either Keiichi was hallucinating, and that was why people were acting crazy, or people were being affected by some weird supernatural thing making them act crazy. And that's what that scene reminded me of. I guess in my mind, I just don't think Shion was in any state to, get all the way down to Hinamizawa in the middle of the night and meet up with Keiichi and do all this. I just don't think she would have been able to do that. Especially because Shion just finished telling Keiichi about how they need to never be alone anywhere, especially not in Hinamizawa, so... I don't know. I guess we are gonna see. Obviously, where are Sadako and Rika, right? Because I guess in my mind, Rika seems so important to the city. Not to the city, to the town. I don't think you can call Hinamizawa a city. Um, that if it is true that all of this, that somehow the explanation for everything in the story, all the crazy shit, is human conspiracy doing it. Would Rika really be a target? That to me is just crazy. The idea that they would kill Rika. I just don't know. I mean, maybe if she is taking this oppositional stance against whatever they want to do to Keiichi, pin him against the, crucify him or something, right? Burn him at the stake, but I guess I just can't imagine that her and how important she is, spiritually and culturally, and how significant she is for the town, as the last member of the Furude family too. I just find it so hard to believe that they would kill Rika, So I wish Rika had told us what she meant when she said that the dog bit the mayor, and what that means exactly. I don't know. And yeah, and the fact that Keiichi's using the same phrasing, right? Before Mion turned into that person who wasn't Mion, right? It's obviously it goes back to the same crazy shit that was happening in Onikachi all the time. But again, whether or not to say that's Keiichi going crazy and hallucinating, or if it is real, I just have no idea. Because this is information he had, right? It's not like he just now learned about Sadako's family dying, right? He already knew about this before, so I'm just saying theoretically in a world where he is hallucinating, that is possible. He didn't technically learn anything new from that crazy shit that Mion just said, I don't know. Okay, let's continue. The adults tried a few different keys on a key ring as they tried to open the big shutter on the first floor.
リカちゃんの家はね、もともとは町会の防災倉庫だったの。
Okay.
だからシャッターの鍵を今でも村長さんの家が預かってるの。
今ではリカちゃんとサトコの指定だけど、まあもともとリカちゃんの家の敷地内だし、誰も文句は言わないけどね。
Mion gave me a smile as she said that. I, however, could only return her gaze with an aghast expression. Mion was acting all too normal now, but that only contrasted all the more sharply with her earlier un-Mion-like creepiness. Bang. Bam, clatter, 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 bang. The shutter opened up for the first time in a very long while. Rena located the light switch and wasted no time going inside. I followed her in. We climbed a narrow staircase. It had looked like nothing more than a warehouse, but now that I was inside, I could feel how lived in it was. It was a person's home. Somehow, the scent of the two of them filled the place. This was definitely where Rika-chan and Sadako lived. The first floor doubled as a town assembly warehouse. Ooh. but the second floor is a space entirely for living. Let me listen to this for a little bit. Just like a one-room apartment, past the kitchen was a living room, taking up about 150 square feet. Dressers, cupboards, and the like were packed into the space, and in the corner there was a huge pile of clothes that appeared to have just been taken in from drying outside. In the center of the living room was a fold-up table, and on it were small containers for things like soy sauce and salad dressing. The sense of a frugal lifestyle drifted from all of it. It was strange that they weren't here in the middle of the night like this. The adults, climbing the stairs one at a time, began to make a fuss and talk amongst themselves.
どう？やっぱりいない？
いない。
I'm gonna have to go back and read everything Mion said again about Sadako at some point. Like, for sure.
絶対おかしい。
The village had just been thrown into chaos yesterday because of the mayor's disappearance. Then today, even Rika-chan and Sadako had... Were they out playing somewhere together? That can't be. Their bicycles aren't here, though. Where would they have gone so late at night? Have they just not come back yet? Where did they go? The adults put forth various possibilities, and the house immediately devolved into a state of confusion. I mean, like, what are the possibilities here, right? That the obvious thing in my mind is whatever Rika was going to do about Keiichi's situation, that's like what she's doing right now, right? That she's off doing something somewhere for the purpose of helping Keiichi, right? And I guess Sadako got wrapped into it too. I mean, that would make sense to me. Of course, I have no idea why she would have to go in the middle of the night, you know? Eventually, Mion settled them down.
信じたくないけど、君吉の村長さんが消えたのが昨日の今日。無関係とは言い切れないね。
The adults' faces paled at Mion's declaration. Mai and Rena's did as well.
例えば、ご近所に行ってお茶でもごちそうになって眠っちゃって、起こすに起こせなくなってるなんて可能性ももちろんあるよね。
Sure.
その可能性をまず潰そう。
If you say so, we're gonna call everyone
牧
again?
野さんは裏手から沢のあたりの家を回ってください。慶太郎さんはおじゃが池の方。岡村さんは。
Oh, Okamura's here. Mion promptly gave directions to the villagers, unless that's probably his like dad or something, right? I assume Okamura is the family name. The adults followed them without hesitation, despite her age.
私はここに残って電話で片っ端から心当たりに問い合わせてみます。じゃあ皆さん、そういうことで。
Got it. The adults all roared in reply and pounded back down the stairs below.
さすがみーちゃんだね。
She's the leader.
みーちゃんは学校だけじゃなく、ひなみ沢の委員長さんみたいだよね。
That is probably more true than you mean it, Rena, to be honest.
茶化さない茶化さない。ほらどいて。おじさんは電話を使うんだから。
Mion grinned proudly, took the receiver, and got started. Rena gave Mion a trusting look, considering her dependable for doing all of this. My feelings, though, were a little more complicated, since her leadership seemed to be affirming the Sonozaki family successor impression that Shion and Ooishi-san had given me. Yeah, I don't doubt that for a second. Stop right there, Keiichi Maibara. None of that matters right now. The most important thing is to make sure Rika-chan and Sadako are safe. You know, sure. Let's see. Couldn't there be a clue hinting at where they might have gone somewhere in this room?
とはいえ、そんなのわかるはずもない。
Yeah, no idea. If we tore the whole place apart and figured out what was different from before, we might be able to speculate, but there's nothing strange about this room, and there were no clues in sight. In the first place, I had never been here before. There's no way for me to know what was different if I didn't know how the room usually looked. Hey, don't give up, Keiichi Maibara. Stop thinking and start looking. For something. In search of something, I tried pulling open the dresser drawers and opened the windows. I didn't uncover anything meaningful, though. Rena, also unable to stand around doing nothing, was looking around the room like I was.
でもレナ、冷蔵庫や流しの下の棚とかを開いても、リカちゃんは見つからないと思うぞ。
maybe she's hiding in there.
隠れてるかなって思って。
Yeah.
は、
They're just playing hide and seek. How cute would that be? As we were searching, it got noisy outside. Villagers were quickly assembling here, having heard the commotion. Of course, a lot of them were probably people Mion had called.
私、みんなに話をしてくる。
So, let's talk for a second. So, like, again, if we're going to this from the angle of village conspiracy, right? All of the murders, in explanation of village conspiracy, like, these disappearances, you know, are entwined into that same whole village conspiracy mess, right? I feel like if we are going to go with Rika's disappearance here, Rika and Sadako's disappearance is going to be, like, the same kind of, in the same boat with the whole, like, the Onikashi murders and the disappearances and all of that. Like, Rika-chan and Sadako, let's just say that they disappeared and it's going to be, like, the same, whatever's been causing everything else, that they're, like, intertwined into all that, too, If it is a village conspiracy, then I feel like just this response from all of the villagers really makes me feel like it can't be the idea of, like, the crazy everyone in Onigachi is a demon who, they do this, like, sacrifices as a whole village for cultural reasons and all of that, because obviously all these people, if that is what had happened, they would know what happened to Rika and Sadako, right? So I feel like just this response from the village kind of discounts that idea, right? Obviously it doesn't discount the idea that there's, like, elite people in the village like the Sonozakis that are coordinating all of this, that are coordinating, like, the murders and the disappearances and everything. But then that just brings me to the question of why, because to me, it seems like, from everything that, like, Takano was saying, in the warehouse and the storehouse with the ritual implements, that the explanation for a village conspiracy that, like, makes the most sense is, like, continuing it for, like, cultural reasons, Like, obviously that sounds kind of stupid, but I feel like that's the most innocent explanation in terms of, like, maybe not the most innocent explanation, but the explanation that just makes the most sense for all of these completely disconnected murders that I don't see how they're connected in any other way, And if it's just people in the village want to continue this bizarre, like, tradition of sacrificing people to Yoshiro-sama, then, like, that would make sense. But if it's not a grand village conspiracy, and it's only a few, like, elite people, like the Sonozakis, that are at the top of it who are orchestrating all of it, why would they be doing it for, like, cultural, traditional reasons? You know what I mean? Like, that would just be weird. Like, you would think it would be the village as a whole that would maintain that culture and would want to do that kind of thing, not just random powerful people at the top, right? Like, that would be weird. So but obviously, like, the reason why people are being killed does seem so tied to the whole cultural stuff, right? Like Tomitake and Takano. If the reason they really were killed was because of them just disrespecting the sanctity of the ritual storehouse, then, like, I guess it's possible that there's just powerful people in the village very high up that value the cultural significance of all this stuff a lot, and they continue the tradition of killing these outsiders, and then just the general village population, like the people who are here to search right now, just don't know about it. Like, I guess. But again, that's just so weird to me, just because it's just so hard for me to believe that if it's for cultural or continuing, like, a tradition, if it's for that kind of reason at all, them killing Rika would be insane to me, Because she's the last member of the Furude clan, like, one of the big three families. I mean, same with Kimiyoshi, right? I mean, less so, at least he's not the last one, but it seems like to me Rika is so culturally significant as a person to the village, that her being killed for reasons of, oh, we have to uphold the cultural sanctity of the village, that's just, like, crazy. So I don't know.
警察も来るだろうしね。大石のやつにも事情を説明しなきゃ。
Ugh, God. Mion began descending the stairs, and we followed her out to the front of the house. There were already around 10 adults here. All of them looked uneasy. I suddenly noticed that the old people from the shrine were here as well, and they were praying for Rika-chan's safety, rubbing their prayer beads. Yeah, this had gotten bad. This wasn't just a problem between friends anymore. The villagers all formed a ring around Mion, swarming her. Mion raised her right hand, as if silently telling them to calm down.
誰かの家にお邪魔していないか、町会の回覧区分に沿って全校をまず調べよう。本
Okay.
人たちがこっちの気も知らずに、誰かの家ですやすやとお泊まりしてる可能性もあるわけだからね。
I just don't know what to think. I don't know if Mion knows anything about this or not. It would definitely be hard for someone to wake up Rika-chan if she had eaten a good full meal and fallen asleep like a kitten afterwards. Are you sure? I guess, maybe. Oh, how nice it would be if that were the case.
こんなことは考えたくないけど、もちろん悪いことが起こった可能性もある。
Wadi. Mion's face grew remarkably more grim, and a wave of silence washed over the adults.
我々も手分けしよう。昨夜の村長探しで回ったところをもう一度回る。
俺たちはダム現場をよく念入りに探してみる。お前さんたちは学校のあたりを探してみてくれ。
And there's really just nothing. There's no, like, we really don't have any lead at all of any kind, right? Like, We know they took their bicycles, right? I mean, that means something.
どうしたらはよ回らんと。行こう行こ
Hmm.
みんな昨日も村長さん探しで徹夜だったからね。寝不足で辛いだろうけど、どうかよろしく。
Trying to think. I was gonna say, like, I wonder. They wouldn't be anywhere around the shrine or around the area, right? Because they keep their bikes at the bottom of the steps. So, like, why their bikes wouldn't be gone if they, like, went to the back to the ritual implement storehouse or something, right? I don't know why they would go there. I just think, like, if Rika, if she was doing something involving the Keiichi stuff, she might have some reason to go back there, right? But if their bikes are gone, they wouldn't be somewhere in the immediate vicinity, right? With that as their signal, the adults scattered in every direction. I figured I should scatter somewhere as well, so I started walking unsteadily in a direction no one else had gone in. Okay, good job scattering. I was getting further and further away from people. Okay, we're not supposed to be alone, remember? Please, also, new music again. I didn't feel scared or anything, though. I do. If someone were made to disappear, Shion and I would be first. It would have been perfectly normal for me to be scared of the dark. However, I didn't feel that way. Why was that? It was because tonight, someone had already disappeared. So nobody else would disappear tonight. It would take some time before I, exhausted as I was, would feel guilt at the cause of my own selfish sense of relief. That's a crazy thing to think. What are you talking about? I don't think, like... I guess. I don't know. I guess. I think he should be feeling guilty about the situation. Like, I guess he's saying he feels guilty about, like, being relieved that he doesn't think he's gonna get murdered, but... Ah, beautiful. Suddenly, my vision cleared and a cold wind caressed my body. This was the hill from which you could see the whole village. Came here on that picnic. Looking down from this hill, I could see lights on here and there, and knew that the entire village had awoken from its slumber. Yeah, no way they would kill Rika, right? I mean, first Takano-san and Tomitake-san, then the mayor, and now even Rika-chan and Sadako had been sacrificed, and the word of it was spreading everywhere. You're that convinced that they're sacrificed already, huh? The strength in my knees left me. This could no longer be a joke. And he's gonna blame everything on himself, right? And Shion, of course, for going into the storehouse. I don't think that's fair, you know, for him to blame himself for it, because, like, he didn't understand the significance of what he was doing, for one thing, right? I mean, like, I think that's relevant in this situation. We could have found them. Mion would have told me I was a warrior. Rena would just be glad we did, and they would have smiled at me. My hopes disappeared as if I were awakening from a dream. That was what the view I could see was telling me. Following my knees, my arms both bent forward onto the ground, and I clawed at it with my nails. I couldn't figure out if I was feeling sorrow or frustration. Oh. It's very interesting. It's very different than like his struggle in Onikashi, right? Because in Onikashi it was all about him. You know, he thought he was the one who did something wrong, and that was why everyone wanted to kill him. You know, now he thinks he did something wrong that's making everyone around him die. He's blaming himself for it. In both cases, I feel like he hasn't really done anything wrong. It's like, it's this pervasive, like, feeling of, like, being the other that he always has, you know? That, I mean, I feel like just, like, on, like, a meta level, it has to be just connected to, like, his general feeling of not feeling like he fits in, like, a small town with all these, you know, we pointed out many times, you know, how he's a big city boy in a small town and all that, you know? He's the only boy in a group of girls. It feels very much connected to that general idea to me, the idea of not fitting in, of course. I couldn't endure the burden of my own sin, and I had just told Rika-chan about it. They had nothing to do with it, but Rika-chan and even Sadako had been sacrificed. It was like a cross that Shion and I would each have to bear the weight of until we ourselves were erased. Also makes you think of the opening scene of Onikashi, right? The whole apology thing. That, you know, there's nothing you can do that would be unforgivable. Well, if I'm going that far, then the problem started long before that. My original sin of breaking a taboo and entering the ritual storehouse without asking. I knew I shouldn't have gone in there from the start, I guess. Yet I lost out to cheap curiosity. I feel like there has to be some kind of, like, you know, like people say, oh, ignorance of the law isn't an excuse, you know? This is so different, though. This is something that's just, like, a taboo for weird cultural reasons, that there would be no way for him to know the impact of it, right? Like, of course, obviously in this case, I don't think people deserve the death penalty because someone snuck into the ritual storehouse, right? So just on the face of it, it's stupid, and it's not right. So, I hadn't felt so angry at myself until this very moment. There was a crunching sound. I wasn't even interested in who made the noise, despondent as I was. Who? Please don't be Mion. Oh,
ケイチくん
thank God it's Rena.
ケイチくん
Rena, please, we need some help right now, girl. Can we talk?
大丈夫
No, it was Rena. Perhaps my clawing at the ground made it look as though I was having stomach pains. She ran over and rubbed my back to make me feel better.
俺が全部悪いんだ。俺のせいで。俺のせいで。
You can't tell her though,
ケイ
right?
チくんが
You're not gonna, I mean, you can tell her, but you're not going to, because you think it's gonna make her die next.
何も悪いわけはないよ。自分をどうか責めないでね。
Oh, I could tell Rena was doing her best to choose the right words out of consideration for me. That's why I could sense her intent behind those words. Keiichi-kun, you know why Rika-chan and Sadako-chan disappeared, don't you? Is what she really meant to say. Because it was an emergency, Rena had ignored the reason why I wanted to make sure Rika-chan was safe, but now that we'd actually confirmed her disappearance, it was only natural Rena would start to wonder about why. However, with the situation having gone this far, I couldn't possibly tell her now. Yeah. Shutting ourselves off again. We just can't do it. We have a barrier to communication. Yeah. Problem is now it's not that he can't trust his friends, beyond Mion maybe, but it's just he you know, we know what goes into it. It's just very different than Onikakushi. I didn't want to admit that Rika-chan and Sadako had disappeared, but I couldn't let Rena disappear either.
ケイチくん、こんな風通しのいいところにずっといたら風邪ひいちゃう。
Rena sat down, bringing her eyes level with mine.
子供たちはね、もう解散して家で寝ろって。
Rena showed me her watch as she said that. It was long past 1 in the morning. Like, here's what's gonna happen now. Is instead of his connection to Rena, who should be his only fucking lifeline at this point left, instead of that connection to her being a positive for him now, it's just gonna be another layer of, like, responsibility he feels, you know? Like, even if he doesn't tell her, even if he doesn't tell her a word about anything that happens, if she disappears, he's still gonna blame himself for it no matter what. He's gonna be walking around eggshells, making sure he can never tell her anything. That is probably gonna result in the deterioration of the relationship. Like, it's just so bad. It's so, like, ugh. Time was passing too quickly. Had I been crawling around here for that long?
もう寝ないと明日の学校に差し支えるよ。
Still gotta go to school tomorrow, yeah.
大人たちだって
Just feels silly.
昨べも一晩中村長さんを探したからみんなクタクタ。今夜は少し早めに解散するって。
I was a little upset that they weren't allotting as much time to this as they had to search for the mayor last night. But that was something I, the cause of everything, had no right to criticize them for. Oh man, this is how he's gonna spiral this time, isn't it, right? Just blaming himself, that's gonna be his downfall, you know? I don't know how it's gonna result. Like last time his downfall was spiraling into the insanity of distrusting everyone around him to an insane degree. And this time it's gonna be blaming himself for everything. I don't know what's gonna happen, but obviously it's gonna have the same result of breaking up the communication between him and the people he should be able to talk to. So.
大丈夫。さっきね、今どんどん街
Sorry, I
か
skipped
ら応
that.
援のパトカーが来てるよ。
Hearing that remark, I looked down at the village to see that there were indeed more cars than one would normally expect at this hour, coming from the darkness on the other side of the mountain. However, none of their emergency lights were on. Of course, their sirens weren't wailing either. That's right. All of the incidents that occurred right after Watanagashi were seen as the product of Oishiro-sama's curse, and could be handled in secrecy, and would be handled in secrecy. Rika-chan and Sadako too. Their disappearance would end up exactly like the other serial incidents in the past. Surreptitious, unresolved, declared a mystery, and disappear from memory. Rika-chan's face, her sweet face like a Western doll's, would fade away. Sadako's smile, her energetic fanged smile, would fade away. God, dude, I'm gonna... The more I tried to remember them, the less I would be able to. I deserved to be called an idiot dozens of times over, and it wouldn't be enough. I couldn't hold back the tears at my own sheer stupidity.
ケイチ君が何を自分に責めているかわからないけれど、
Yeah.
もうやめよう。
Yeah, he's gonna have something he feels like he has to apologize for again, you know? It's like what he's... like... I don't know. It's like he's committed a grave sin like he did at the end of Onikashi, you know, killing Rena and Mion. It's like we get to see the actual aftermath of it, you know? Like, in his mind, obviously I disagree with the idea that it's his fault at all, but I guess I'm just curious how he's going to mentally handle this, you know? Because he's fully in on the idea that it's fully his fault, and that he essentially killed Rika and Sadako. I was about to deny it. I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't affirm it either. I wanted to at least keep Rena out of this. If she found out, she would become involved.
レナ、放っておいてくれないか。俺きっと家に帰ったって眠れない。
If I couldn't get to sleep, then I at least wanted to search for Rika-chan and Sadako until I collapsed. The entire village was looking, and yet still hadn't been found. I don't think I'd be able to find them if I went looking alone at this point. Still, I had to do it.
俺のせいで消えてしまったんだ。
Ugh.
他の探してくれてる人たちよりも先になんか眠れるものか。
I'd said that to myself in self-deprecation, but I soon realized that Rena was silently trying to find the meaning in my mumblings. I realized I had misspoke.
ケイチ君のせいなの？どうしてそう思うのかな？
That can't be. Keiichi-kun, you're not at fault. I was happy that Rena said these things to me. But she only did so because she didn't know the truth. If she knew that everything had been caused by my breaking taboo on the night of Watanagashi, then even Rena would curse my existence. However, I can't even allow for those curses. That would mean confessing my own crimes to Rena. If I spelled even one word of having snuck into the ritual storehouse on the night of Watanagashi, then even Rena could disappear tomorrow night. The gentle, spirited, always joking, always harrowing. But at a time like this, the most dependable person in the world, no kidding, Rena might disappear. I feel like sick to my stomach. I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is exactly. Just like... It just sucks. It sucks so much. Like... I don't want that. Anything but that. This time, I need to bear my own cross. It just reminds me, it just makes me think of just again about him killing Rena at the end of Onikashi, you know, and just how awful that was. Like, how much she means to him, you know, how clear that is. Like... It's like now, instead of him wanting to kill other people, it's like all of that is coming back on himself, you know, like...
ケイチ君がとても仲間思いだって知ってるから、自分を傷つけたくなる気持ちもよくわかるよ。だけど、レナはケイチ君のせいじゃないって知ってる。ケイチ君が悪くないって知ってるから。
知ってるって。
Shivering in my veins rushed up my back and replaced the sorrow in my heart with fear. I didn't tell her anything, did I? Oh my god. Maybe I accidentally said something that caused Rena to figure it out? This is bad. Now Rena will disappear. Rena will disappear. Rena will disappear. Then Rena, the same way I always did, grabbed my head and began to pet it roughly. Oh.
ケイチ君、ひょっとしてレナも消えちゃうかもしれないって思ってるのかな。お社様のたたりで。
She puts more force into the hand rubbing my head.
だったら安心して。
It is possible that Rena does know some of what happened, right? I mean, it seems like the village, there's been whisperings of it in some way.
レナは消えたりしないよ。
Oh god.
絶対に。
I hope so, girl. I hope so.
どうして消えないなんて自信を持って言えるんだよ。
I mean, someone's been sacrificed every night so far. There's no proof that it wouldn't happen again tomorrow night. There was even less proof, after all, that the sacrifice wouldn't be Rena. I don't care who you are. Just please, if you're going to erase someone, erase me first. Please, stop cruelly getting rid of people we're close to, like the mayor for Shion, and Rika-chan and Sadako for me. Shion's hysterical shouting came back to mind. They must be planning to kill us last of all. They're not killing the first people who come to mind. They start by killing those we're close to. And then after they've caused us so much pain, they'll kill us. That must be what they're doing. Oh,
Rena.
man. Please don't disappear. Please don't. As long as I'm still here. I can no longer conceal the sobs welling up within me. Interesting, right? He's just not thinking about himself at all. You know, the idea of him disappearing and leaving Rena behind. It's just he can't bear the pain of her, right? I guess he just thinks that it'll be over once he disappears, right?
ほら、ケイチ君に涙なんか似合わないよ。みんなのところに行こう。婦人会の人たちがね、お味噌汁の炊き出しをしてくれてるの。飲むと温まって落ち着くよ。
Rena prompted me to stand. I didn't have the energy to oppose her, so I stood as she urged me to. We returned to the shrine grounds to find several gas stoves there with miso soup in big pots. The many villagers there sipped at the soup they were given in dead, stony silence. Their expressions were absolutely exhausted. Everyone had just been running around the village until a little while ago. From the dreary looks on their faces, though, I assumed they hadn't come up with anything yet.
ケイちゃん、どこ行ってたんだよ。
To cry.
ケイちゃんまでいなくなったのかと心
I
配した
don't
よ。
even say that. Mion, come on. I don't know, maybe she's not joking. Come on. Mion held out some miso soup for me, but I refused the offer. I didn't have much of an appetite. Ugh.
みーちゃん、どう？何か手がかりはあった？
Mion took a sip of her soup, her expression frank.
全然ない。
Like, there's no way Mion has anything to do with this, right? Like, there's no way, you know? Like, no matter how upset she is with Keiichi and Shion, like, she wouldn't do this to Keiichi, right? Like, it wouldn't be that extreme, you know? Like, of course, that's, I feel like Keiichi and Shion's idea of what's going on just has to be wrong. The idea that it's people purposefully tormenting them by killing people they care about. I just don't know if I buy that. But if that is the case, there's no way Mion is that far gone, right? That she's that malicious about it.
学校が終わってから家に帰って、二人で自転車に乗ってどこかに行ったらしい。しかも、二人が自転車に乗った姿は全く目撃されていないし。
When it gets dark out in Hinamizawa, people vanish quickly from the streets. Aside from adults hurrying back home from town and cars or on bicycles, it was normal to see absolutely nobody walking around outside. It wasn't at all strange that nobody had seen Rika-chan or Sadako riding their bikes. Okay.
昨日の村長の時と同じ。お手上げだよ。
Oh. Mion's apathetic tone pricked my nerves, but that anger quickly subsided. She had been doing all sorts of things to try and find Rika-chan until just a second ago. If I asked her, she'd probably say she was up all night last night too, looking for the mayor, wouldn't she? She must have been far more fatigued than I was. Besides, what about me? I had spent the time hunched over in indecision, all alone, of course. I had no right to say anything about Mion.
ケイちゃんも辛いだろうけど、今夜はこれで休もう。
I'm just, what, is it even true that we need to be scared of Mion? I just don't even know. Like, I feel like the answer here, whatever's going on with Mion, can't really be to separate ourselves from her and not trust her at all. That just can't be it. I just feel like that can't be the answer, you know? If she's upset, we should talk about it. Like, I just don't know.
さっき今夜は解散しようってなったところだよ。これを飲んだらもう終わりにしよう。
Because we haven't had a real discussion with her since the Shion reveal, you know? Like,
終わりなのか。
oh, man.
あ、もちろん終わりじゃないよ。明るくなったら警察も増援を入れて徹底的に探すってさ、沖宮の方に行ってる可能性もあるからね。
And I wonder if they did. Like, I could imagine that.
村長の件も含めて、獅子骨市全体で目撃情報がないか洗うって言ってる。
Ugh, Keiichi's not gonna like that though. That just feels so... That feels like such a long-term thing to do. Like, you know, we want to find Rika and Sadako now, you know? Like...
それよりもケイちゃんだよ。どこに行ってたんだい？ いつの間にかいなくなっちゃうから心配したんだよ。
Yeah, I thought she was. Suddenly, I was on the receiving end, but I didn't have the willpower to
すま
respond.
ん。気をつけるよ。
何もなかった。怪しい人に監視されてるとか付け狙われてるとかそういうのはなかった？
Mion demanded with a serious expression. I was being criticized for how inconsiderate I had been. I can't tell what Mion's angle here is. Like, what is she thinking at all? I just have no idea. I mean, that's the point, right? Like, despite being in so much pain, I was frustrated that I was being criticized. But it was my sin. My sin, and I must bear it alone.
何もないよ。でも気をつける。すまん。
Mion, now aware that nothing had happened, heaved a big sigh with her shoulders, looking relieved.
おやおやおや。
Go away. Leave me alone.
美味しい匂いが漂ってくると思ったら、
Someone kill him.
これはぜひご商売に預かりたいですね。
Get him out of here. We heard the repulsive voice of a fat man. Exactly, the repulsive voice of a fat man. That is what I like to hear from Keiichi. It was Ooishi-san, trailed by a handful of police officers. He was acting energetically, in a way unfitting given the situation.
大して残ってないですよ。それでもよければ勝手にどうぞ。
Good. Sorry I keep yawning, I'm just so tired. Long day at work. Mion didn't like Ooishi-san very much. Her cold attitude, though, didn't seem to bother Ooishi-san in the slightest. It was like splashing water in a frog's face.
ありゃりゃ。味噌汁のお残りってちょっと塩分高めなんですよね。
Then go away.
参ったな。
Leave.
君たちはいただきます？
He recommended it to his subordinates, but everyone gave dry smiles and refused.
どうですか？警察の方では何か手がかりはつかめましたか？
No. Rena's smile was warm enough to replace the misosu. Aw.
大丈夫ですよ、お嬢さん。ご安心、
はい
ご安心。
No, it
ちゃ
isn't.
んと探してるんですから。
What is wrong with you? I hate Ooishi so much. He didn't say a word about having found any new clues. In other words, there'd been no progress. That sure was an annoying way of beating around the bush.
それよりも、もう本当に遅い時間です。どうぞ若い皆さんはお帰りになってお休みになってください。
Oh, God, I'm sorry I keep yawning. He doesn't want to talk to Mion. That surprises me. I thought he would want to talk to Mion.
体に触りますよ。
Obviously, he must think Mion is
So
at fault for this in some way, right? Like,
ケイちゃんもレナも今日
oh,
はもう休みな。
Mion is going to talk to
あ
him.
とは税金で働いてるおっさんたちがやってくれるから。
No, maybe not.
私たちだって税金払ってるんですけどね。
Just because she singled them out. She said, you know, Keiichi Rena, go get some rest. She didn't say she was going to go.
蕎麦屋さんが自分の作った蕎麦食ってるみたいな気分ですよ。な。
I really wasn't in the mood for laughter. In fact, Ooishi-san was the only one laughing like an idiot. Exactly.
じゃあ本当によろしくお願いしますね。帰ろう、ケイイチくん。明日が辛くなるよ。
そうです、そうです。
Really wants them to go
なん
home.
ならお二人をお送りしてもいいですよ。
No.
まあじゃあ車を回してあげてください。
あ、結構です。俺たち自転車で来てるんで。
ご安心を。私たちワゴン車で来てますから。
Okay.
電車も詰めますよ。
We may have gotten pretty sleepy, but we just needed to ride home at this point. I didn't want to bother the police like that. Rena, however, nodded.
せっかくだからお世話になろうよ。私たちだけで帰るよりきっと安全だよ。
When I thought about it carefully, I realized that Rena's idea was extremely rational.
そうと決まれば行きましょう行きましょう。
じゃあ
Okay.
ね。おやすみ。レナもケイちゃんも。
みーちゃんも早めに休んでね。お
Unlikely.
やすみ。
I waved my hand as well, saying goodbye. Rika-chan and Sadako still hadn't been found. My unease, however, was steadily being pushed away by sleepiness. Rena showed the police where our bicycles were so that Ooishi-san could haul them up into their truck. He prompted us to get into the back seat. I could hear the springs squeaking as I sat down onto a seat that would normally hurt my rear end. But at this point,
では、レディーファーストで。
But at this point, it was very soft and was more comfortable enough, and was more than comfortable enough for me to fall asleep on.
お嬢さんの家から行きましょう。住所はどちらです？
ありがとうございます。私の家はですね、
Rena's voice slowly grew distant. I felt myself being sucked away into the void of sleep. But that worries me. A lot. Gonna wake up in a police station.
もしもーし、前原さん。完全に眠っちゃってますか？
When I came to, it was quiet. The car was parked. Ooishi-san would give me light slaps to the cheek. It didn't feel good at all, so I woke up immediately.
すみません。すっかり寝込んじゃって。
Something was being held right under my nose. A clump of metal? It was a can of
ぬ
coffee.
るいですがね。甘いカフェオレなら
No.
常温でも結構飲めますよ。
Stop trying to do things.
どうも。
I mechanically took the can and opened the pull top. The feeling of the warm, sweet liquid going down my throat awakened my sleepy mind. When my drowsiness receded, I started wanting to know why the car was stopped and why I was offered coffee. Ooishi-san, who had been in the driver's seat, had, at some point, moved to the back. Time for more questioning, huh? Yeah, suddenly I had a very bad feeling about this. It reminded me of the questioning yesterday at the library. It was already too late by the time I realized I'd made a mistake. Today, of all days, it didn't look like I would be getting away. I had a feeling that until Ooishi-san heard what he wanted to, he wouldn't be letting me go. Oh,
そんな
God.
に構えられても困ります。別に取って食おうってわけじゃないんですから。前原さん。
Ooishi gulped down the last of his coffee, then stretched wide, showing me how relaxed he was. That, however, only served to heighten my nervousness.
俺にまた何の用ですか？
よう。いえいえ、別にですね。
You're going to evade the question at this point? What a deeply unreadable man.
私からは用はないんですが、前原さんから私に用があるんじゃないかと思いましてね。
I wonder, is it possible that Shion already called and told him? I kind of doubt that. I doubt that because Shion agreed to telling the cops everything before she learned about the mayor and his disappearance, right? Like, would she still agree now to telling the cops everything when she has the idea that whoever they tell disappears, you know?
別に
I gotta
用
turn
な
on
ん
my
か
fan.
ないです。
Okay.
ありゃ、本当にあるんじゃないですか？
Ooishi, shut up! There's only one side door in the back seat of this truck. In other words, my only exit was blocked off by Ooishi-san. This has to be illegal. I couldn't get away. I could only limply hang my head and maintain my silence, but of course he's retiring this year anyway, so he doesn't care. Ooishi-san, despite my reticence, yeah, I know that word, relaxed and began smoking a cigarette. The cries of the insects outside seemed to be growing longer and longer, to an amount of time that almost seemed infinite.
前原さんから相談したいことがきっとあったと思ってたんですけどね。
Do I want him to tell Ooishi? Not really. No, not particularly. Ooishi didn't really do a very good job protecting Keiichi and Onikashi. So I don't really think I have any interest in telling Ooishi anything about anything, frankly. Ooishi-san exhaled a puff of smoke. The windows were open, but the tobacco smell still accumulated inside the vehicle. How much did Ooishi-san know? What did he know, and what did he want to hear from me? If finding out the truth made you disappear, then if I told him, would Ooishi-san disappear too? That's fine. I had a feeling that I didn't need to worry about that in this case.
どうしてこんなことになっちゃったんでしょうね。
For real. Ooishi-san addressed me in a low tone, as if he was talking to himself. How all this ended up happening? How the hell should I know? That was what I wanted to
富
know.
武二郎さんと高野美代さん、ご存知ですよね。
Of
お
course.
祭りの時、園崎しおんさんを含めて
Yeah,
4
yeah,
人で一緒
yeah.
におられたのを私がこの目で拝見してますから。その富武さんと高野さん、今どうしておられるかご存知ですか？
Dead?
実はお亡くなりになってましてね。
Thank you.
気の毒な死に方でした。
Ooishi-san probably played that card in order to surprise me. However, I already knew, and didn't display the extreme reaction he expected. I gotta get another drink, man. Unfortunately, for this question in particular, remaining silent was equivalent to saying yes.
こっちもご存知かな。富武さんと高野さんがたたりに遭われた理由の方です。何でもですね、入っちゃいけない禁断の建物に入ったからだって言われてるんですよ。
The storehouse for ritual implements. That forbidden shed sealing away Hinamizawa's blood-stained past. Where the mistake that started it all happened.
村長さんや古出リカさんもそのせいでたたりに遭われたんだと。
Of course, of course. That would mean it was mine and Shion's fault. He was right. As soon as we revealed what we did.
最具伝って言いましたっけ？あそこの鍵を簡易なものに付け替えたから賊に入られたんだっていうケチがついてるらしいんですよ。
Yeah. Oh, he didn't know about this. Did we learn that in a tip? We must have learned that in a tip, right? About the lock being simple and being replaced. Wait, did we learn that in a tip? Or did we... I don't remember where we learned that. About the whole thing about Rika wanting the lock to be simpler, and then, like, the mayor going along with it or whatever, you know. This was news to me.
一昨年くらいまでは、西宮殿にはでっかい缶抜きとでっかい錠前がいくつも付けられていたらしいんですよ。ところがほら、神主夫妻がお亡くなりになられて、今は古出リカさんが切り盛りされてるでしょ。缶抜きが重くて大変だから、もっと軽い簡単な錠前に付け替えてほしいと村長さんに相談したらしいんですよ。
And this could give Keiichi, like, a little bit of wiggle room here. He could say that Rika and the mayor died because of that, or were killed by the curse because of that, you know, not because of them telling them, you know. I didn't know anything about those big bars he was talking about, but the lock had certainly been a simple one. It was a pretty cheap one, too, and it didn't really fit my impression of what a lock for a place you'd store something as important as ritual implements would look like.
リカさんはあの通り、小柄な女の子ですからね。錆びついて重くなった缶抜きはしんどかったんでしょうな。で、村長さんが職人を手配して簡単な南京錠で鍵ができるように付け替えたんだそうです。
それがどうしてケチがつくことになるんですか？
つまりですね、前の厳重な錠前なら賊には忍び込まれなかった。村長さんとリカさんが勝手に安っぽい鍵に変えたから賊に破られたんだ。と、こういう話らしいんですよ。
So Ooishi's trying to tell Keiichi essentially that he does already know what happened, I guess.
そんな話。
そういう話がまかり通ってて、一部の村人たちが西宮殿に忍び込んだ賊と、賊に破られるような鍵に変えた村長とリカさんを罰したんだ。
Not that I, like, accept that as, like, I kinda do? I don't know.
なんて話があったりなかったりしてるんですよ。前原さん、どう思います？
どう思うって、その一部のこと言ったのもよくわからないし。
Exactly.
御三家ってご存知ですかな。Watanagashiのお祭りの開会式典で各家の代表がそれぞれ挨拶をなさってるでしょう。
No.
祭りには途中から来たからよくは。
御三家ってのはひなみ沢の旧家の3つの家のことなんです。
Sonozaki, Furude, Kimiyoshi.
具体的に言うと、君吉家、園崎家、古出家の3つのことです。本当に古い家筋らしくてね、大昔から村の決め事は御三家が合議して決めるんだと言われてます。
The Kimiyoshi family. Old man Kimiyoshi, meaning the mayor's family. Is he saying, like, Kimiyoshi Oji-san there or something? I assume so, right? I don't know, I'm just curious whenever they say old man or something like that. Like, that's obviously not what he's actually saying in Japanese, right? The Sonozaki family was Mion's. I mean, like, he could just be, like, I don't think he's just saying Kimiyoshi-san, right? Like, that'd be weird. I don't know why they would translate it as old man in that case. So it's probably Oji-san, right? The Sonozaki family was Mion's. So the Furude family was Rika-chan's family then. What, you didn't know her last name?
例のダム闘争で反ダムの旗頭になってからは事実上 ひなみ沢を牛耳りトップに躍り出ました。でもですね、古いしきたりに従い、今でも重要な村の方針は御三家で合議して決めているんだそうです。だから渡長氏の開会挨拶も御三家の当主がそれぞれなさるんですよ。つまり村長と園崎家の現当主のおばあ様、そして古出家の最後の一人、リカさんです。
What did Rika say?
園崎家が大した家柄だという話は聞かされてたけど、リカちゃんの家もそういう旧家だったのか。
まあご存知の通り、親族
The last
は
member.
ありませんから。
But like,
古出家は事実上全く勢力を持ちません。
yeah, they hold like no influence. Like they don't hold any hard power. That's for sure. I certainly think there's some level of like, I mean, there's a lot of like cultural significance though. So I think that's like still very
た
meaningful.
だ、リカさん個人には求心力があるようで、村のお年寄りには盲信する方が多いと聞いています。
It was certainly true that Rika-chan had an odd sort of charisma amongst the elderly.
で、その御三家ってのが何だって言うんですか？
Ooishi-san paused for emphasis, lighting another cigarette.
ここまで説明してもまだ説明が足りませんかね。
Uh-huh.
わからないから聞いてるんです。
Ooishi gave me a dry, meaningful grin and blew out another big puff of smoke. Is he trying to say that the Sonozakis are getting rid of the other families, the Kimiyoshi and the Furude families?
御三家の人間が 相次いで消されてるんです。どういうわけかね。
I mean, but no Sonozaki has disappeared yet. Unless Shion does.
ひなみ沢の内側の古い因習か何かに基づいているんじゃないかと読んでいるんですが、
Okay.
それ以上のことはさっぱり。
I think we know any traditions about members of the three families disappearing.
そんなの俺にだってさっぱりです。
ですから、君吉家、古出家の当主が消えたんです。
Uh-huh. And then Mion.
園崎家の当主が消えるんじゃないかな。
And Mion would of course benefit from that, right? Because she is next in line, right?
なんて思ったり思わなかったりしたりする今日このいかがお過ごしでしょうか。
And I guess like it would make it less suspicious. Shut up. It would make it less suspicious. It's crazy to say, and this is a situation where one murder is less suspicious. I mean, would be more suspicious than 3 murders, right? Like, let's say Mion's the mastermind behind all of this, even though I hate that idea. Like, purely human perpetrators to me, I just can't accept it as a possibility. Let's say Mion's the mastermind behind all of this because she's an evil psychopath who's been manipulating everyone and she really wants to be the ruler of Hinamizawa, right? She could just take out her grandmother, but that would be pretty suspicious, right? Like, cops would probably just investigate it like a normal murder and she would get caught. But if she can do this weird, like, culturally relevant tradition thing where the head of each of the 3 families dies, and it just happens to result in her, of course, taking over as the leader of the Sonozakis, then that would actually be less suspicious, like, within the village, and because of the reason, and because of, like, the attitude the police have towards stuff that happens in the village, I feel like, you know? But I don't accept that at all, so.
なんちゃって。
園崎家の当主って誰だよ。
当主は園崎本家のおばあさんなんですが、
Or we could say that,
実
right?
質上の当主権はもう孫娘のミオンさんに移行していると見て間違いないでしょうね。
I guess we could say it's already Mion, and that Mion would be at danger of disappearing. I don't think so, though. The visage of Mion giving prompt directions to the adults who were searching for Rika-chan sprung back to mind. That's how I've thought about it too.
ミオンが消える？
I hadn't even thought of that possibility. All my hair stood on ends. That's insane.
嫌でしょう。
当たり前だ。そんなの許せるものか。
Clamp. Ooishi-san grabbed my shoulders with both
で
hands.
は協力を、前原さん。
God, I hate Ooishi.
園崎ミオンさんについて最近気づいたことを何でもいいから話してください。
I just don't know what to think now. Now I just have no idea, because now we just have conflicting ideas about why people are disappearing and like what could lead to the next person's disappearance, you know? So I was going along with him. By the time I realized it was too late. Ooishi-san brought his face in closer, almost close enough for Raymond to me, waiting for my next words. This pressure. I can't tear my eyes away from his. That moment, I heard a beeping sound. It was from the driver's seat. He ignored it at first, but then it started to bother him, so I finally let go of me and leaned into the
も
driver's
し
seat.
もし。はいはい、感度良子。
I was saved. Of course, it's not like I could use this opening to escape.
そうですね。
Were they found?
はいはい。 では戻りましょ
No
う。
way, right?
はいはい。はいはい。
Apparently he was being recalled. Now that I knew I'd be freed, the tension in my body dissipated all at
そろ
once.
そろ戻らないといけないみたいです。
Okay.
これからがいいところだったんですが。
I hate you.
残念ですね。
I hate you, Ooishi. Ooishi-san flung open the door, exited, and walked around the front to the driver's seat. He left the door open. Did that mean I could
前
leave?
原さんは友達思いの今時関心な若者です。友人のことを警察に喋るとなんだか裏切っているような気持ちになるのをよくわかっていますよ。
He doesn't actually know anything that's relevant to the cops, though. Like,
前原さん、一晩差し上げますから、ゆっくりお休みになってよく考えてくださいね。
and now, like, thinking about this whole idea of Mion being the orchestrator behind all of this, I feel that doesn't make sense just because of the conversation with Rika, right? We had a very clear, like, Mion is the big sister cat, right? She's the Nekarone-san. And the person who killed the mayor is the dog, whatever that means, right? So it can't be Mion, right? Rika, I feel like Rika, if anyone, would know. She seemed to be very well aware of what was going on. So
前原さんのほんのちょっとの勇気が結局大勢の友人を救うことにつながるかもしれないのです。
Did he want to say that the sacrifices wouldn't stop with Rika-chan and
わ
Sadaka?
かってると思いますが、綿流し以降、毎晩何かが起こります。これまでは毎年
Yeah.
1回だったたたりが、今年は連日。
Can you even call it the curse anymore at that point?
本当に景気のいい年です。
そんなの
Prosperous.
景気がいいなんて言いません。
おととい、昨日、そして今日、明日の晩も起こらないなんて保証、
Mhm.
どこにもありませんよ。
And will it be Mion or will it be Shion? That really feels like the dichotomy now, you know?
それを未然に防ぐのが私たちの仕事ですが、それには前原さんの協力が不可欠なんです。
I looked out the open door to see none other than my own house right in front of me. It creeped me out that he knew my name and address, but I was too sleepy right now. I was too sleepy to care.
今日はもう眠いでしょ
I mean, Rena might have just told him as she was getting out, you know.
う。もう3時になりますからね。
Jesus.
どうぞごゆっくりお休みになってください。
はい。では、失礼します。
You gotta go to sleep, man. When I was about to get out of the truck, as if to deliver a parting bow, Ooishi-san said in a raised voice, a parting blow. Never mind.
前原さんが話す気になってくれるまで毎日来ちゃいますから。
That has to be illegal, right? That can't be allowed. That can't be a thing that the cops can just do. Oh yeah, I'm gonna show up every single day and harass you until you talk to me.
取り調べ室で自白を強要ってのもう時代じゃないと思いますんで。
Good. I couldn't say anything in response, but me slamming the door shut probably served the same purpose. After lightly beeping the horn, Ooishi-san's truck drove off. I went to the front door without waving goodbye. The door was locked, but the chain wasn't up. I unlocked the door and entered. Did he even ever tell them? Then I walked over to the staircase. Okay. That was where I lost consciousness. Man. Man, oh man. Alright. I guess. Lots of notes. Lots of tips. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I don't know if that Steam thing was loud. I'm normally offline on Steam, so the achievement sound doesn't pop up. I don't even know if it picked up or not, so I don't know. Okay. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. Like... I don't know. Let's go. Let's just continue on. It was a rough day for Keiichi, that is for sure. The Sonozaki family. The one to drastically expand its influence after the war was the Sonozaki family. The leader at the time was Oryu Sonozaki, who still has that seat today. Oryu Sonozaki has grown old. and today you can only catch a glimpse of who she was at the time. When I've been told, however, she was a leader extolled as the best in history. Having become so old, aside from going out a few times a week for lessons, she spends her times at home in solitude, and seems to leave most of the ceremonial affairs to her heir, Mion. There are different views on why the successor was not her daughter, but her granddaughter Mion, but it's rumored that it has to do with the disownment of her daughter and son-in-law. We've never heard about that. I guess, it depends which daughter. Right? Daughter is in Mion's mother? Or, did she have multiple daughters? I don't know. I'm gonna write that down now. That uninhibited granddaughter, Mion Sonozaki, still shows no signs of the dignity required of the next leader. However, she does have Sonozaki blood in her veins, and is permitted the name of Demon. She still doubtlessly requires caution, and is probably hiding her fangs and claws, as skillfully as the leaders of the past did. Oh, that's it? Okay, wow. I guess. The elderly leader of the Sonozaki family, sure. In the police car?
はい。郵便局員も目撃してないそうです。園崎本家は郵便受けにハンコが吊るしてあるそうで、書き留めも宅配便も勝手にハンコをして投函していいことになってるんだそうっす。
そりゃ不用心ですね。ってことは、最後の目撃はいつになるんですか？
So are we saying her grandmother is already missing then?
綿流しの開会式でした挨拶が最後です。
Well, okay.
その後すぐに
It's only been 2 days.
これですからね。
Yeah.
話じゃ、週に何回かお稽古事で外出してるそうじゃないですか。そっちはどうです？
毎週月曜に集会所で大正事を習ってるんですが、今週は休んだそうです。
欠席の電話とかは？それを誰かが確認したとかは？
What is Taisho Goto? I want to know. Taisho Goto. Oh god, what the hell? Or Nagoya, why can't I read? Nagoya harp is a Japanese stringed musical instrument. It looks pretty cool, I guess. I don't know. Looks cool to me. I'll learn how to play that. For sure. Okay. my bad. Taisho Goto intermission.
いえ、誰も。ただ、たまに休むことがあったらしいので、誰も不審には思わなかったようです。
明日さ、10時くらいになったら市役所のふりして電話してみましょうかね。
Pretend with a town hall.
10時ですね。了解っす。
Ever since it started to seem more and more like ancient Hinamizawa traditions had something to do with all this, he had been keeping a careful eye on the three families. At this point, the leader of the Kimiyoshi family and the leader of the Furude family had disappeared. There was only one leader left, Oriyu Sonozaki, the leader of the Sonozaki family. She was apparently a pretty old woman. Her dignity hasn't waned, but she still only appeared before people rarely, so it was difficult to confirm where she was at any given time. She, the last leader, hadn't been seen since the day of Watanagashi. Was she still alive and well within the Sonozaki main house? Or had she... Okay, that's not suspicious at all. So maybe, I guess, Ooishi doesn't think that Mion is going to be the next one to disappear. I wonder if he does think Mion's behind all of it. The two of them breathed out a big puff of cigarette smoke. Oh, shit. I gotta be careful with that latter one. Ooishi didn't respond, exhaled another cloud of tobacco smoke, his surroundings now as foggy as his mind. Okay. So, yeah, he absolutely suspects Mion. Like, for sure. He absolutely... Okay. I get it. Scrapbook 10. The Hidden Demon. The inhabitants of Hinamizawa believe that the blood of demons flows in their blood. As such, the character for demon is treated as very sacred. Is it Akuma or is it Oni? Probably Oni, like Onigashiki, right? For example, usage of the character whatever in names is apparently a right reserved for only the leaders of the Kimiyoshi and Sonozaki families. Gotta pull out the Google Translate. Oni. Oh, come on. Does that look like the same character? Oh, whoops. Yes, that is Oni. Okay. Oni. Oh, usage of the character Oni in names is apparently a right reserved for the leaders of the Kimiyoshi and Sonozaki families. Is there anyone with Oni in their name? I mean, Mion. Shion, like, kinda, right? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they actually have that in their name, but, like, kinda, you know, in their name, Oni is in there, right? But we're talking about the actual kanji, so. Case in point, we can see it in the current Sonozaki family leader's name, Oryu. Is written with the character Oka. This, and only this, is proof that she is a legitimate leader of the Sonozaki family. In the same way, Mion Sonozaki, its successor, contains Oni in her name, with Mi being written as Oni something. Is that the same character? No, okay. It also goes for Oryu's daughter and Mion's mother, Akane, who did not succeed her. Akane. Is that the one who's the sound? It's known that before the disowning, yes, Akane's name was actually written as something, though it's changed afterward to something, still read as Akane. Incidentally, it's thought that the first character in the Mayor Kichiro's name, something, originally meant demon, which can also be read as ki. It should be said that names using the character Oni aren't limited only to successors of the Sonozaki family. You can even find it in the last name of the three families. For example, the characters for Kimiyoshi, something, are likely a split-up version of Oni. If you read it in reverse and top to bottom as couldn't tell ya, it clearly resembles the character Oni. Oh, yeah, I see that. Okay, sure. As for the Furude family, who have been in the Shinto priesthood for generations, the word for fortune teller can be written without interval characters, such as something. I think that with the addition of a demon's horn, the tick on top of the character Oni, and the upside-down key shape became the decapitated stick man that is used in their name now. In the case of the Sonozaki family, where Sonozaki is written incomprehensible characters, I can't find any reference to the character Oni, perhaps because it's already ingrained into their first names. They were the clan responsible for running the Watanagashi ceremony, so I think that instead, they included the contents of that ceremony into their last name. The Zaki in Sonozaki is a conjugation of the word for slice, and the Sono, written as, probably contains the hidden meaning of human body, as it is a complicated mess, organs, enclosed by four sides. Okay, sure. I think in other words, that Sonozaki comes from those who slice open the gut. Good. Why not? Sure. Okay. I love kanji wordplay and stuff that I totally understand in full. It's Monogatari all over again. And finally, request denied. The search warrant?
あ、お疲れ様です。
どうです？何か手がかりはありました？
He did not say, I'm back. He said, Otsukara-sama. Like, hello. The officers shook their heads in disappointment. Exhaustion was plainly showing on everyone's faces. That was only natural. None of them had gotten a wink of sleep since the day of Watanagashi. Like, of course, I make fun of translation like that, but, like, even though, obviously, like, they gotta localize it in some way. Like, I'm sure, saying, like, the literal translation of Otsukara-sama doesn't, like, make sense in it. Like, it's not gonna say, like, thank you for your hard work, and then Ooishi's gonna say this in response, like, that would just be weird. So, okay. I hope you get, I make fun of the translation in full understanding that there's a lot of work that has to go into it. Did I read that? Yeah.
ここからは長丁場になりますからね。無理せず、体を休めながらのんびり行きましょう。
みんなには交代で休めって言ってるんだけどね。みんな遠慮してなかなか休んでくれないんだよ。お石さんからも言ってくれないか。
ありゃありゃ。みんな遠慮しないでいいんですよ。
Sorry, reading that again.
小宮山君、若い子から順に交代で休ませてあげてください。
小宮山さん、そうしてあげてください。
After the chief told him as well, Komiyama-san left his seat.
で課長、例の請求なんですけど。
第一、村人の噂だけなんでしょ？もっと具体的な証拠がなければ難しいよ。
For the warrant, right? Yeah.
その証拠があの中に詰まってるかもしれ
Or
ない。
like, I mean, how are you gonna like get a judge to sign off on the warrant if you don't have any evidence
その
at all?
証拠が中に詰まっているという証拠が必要なんだよ。
But I guess Ooishi does what he wants, so.
課長、なぞなぞやってるんじゃないんですよ。死んだ2人を含む4人が綿流しの晩に西宮殿と呼ばれる禁断の蔵に無断で入り込み、それを何者かが見ていた。
Do you?
ここまでは信頼できる情報なんです。
Or are you just talking about yourself and
情報と言ったっ
extrapolating?
てあくまでも噂だよ。
Yeah.
証拠があるわけじゃない。
そりゃまあ、4人が放火無理して忍び込む写真はありませんがね。とにかく4人は西宮殿の中に何かを見たんです。消されるくらいの何かを。
消されるくらいの何か？それは何だい？
That's why I'm asking for a warrant to go looking for it in the first
その
place.
崎家絡みの暴力団関係が有力候補ですな。
I really get the sense that Ooishi, like... I wonder how much he actually cares about this specific situation compared to just uncovering the mystery in general, right? Like...
拳銃の山か？密造
what now?
その崎家の隠し資産ってのも捨てがたいあたりです。
大石さん、気持ちはわかるけど、あの西宮殿ってのは古出神社にある神聖な建物で、地元の人間への相当な配慮が必要な建物なんだよ。
I would not go in there even with a search warrant. I heard that there was an hour-long call made from Congressman Sonozaki to the pigman, Congressman Sonozaki. Chief, could he have nailed you back
と
down?
にかく相当の証拠がない限り、西宮殿の捜査令状は取れないよ。園崎本家への令状も同じだ。特に園崎本家への捜査は四課と県警の暴対が絡んでる。入念な事前調整がいるんだ。
調整がいるってんなら、私直接乗り込んでつけてきてもいいですよ。
Request denied.
暴対は三海さん。隣の雀荘で話した方が早そうなメンツですね。
課長にお客様です。
Pushing the employee who guided him in right out of the way was an old man who looked like a Yakuza member, given his crested kimono and hakama. Did he not get enough of this over the phone? Oh god. Oh god.
どうも。私が課長。
Oh no, what is going on?
お前なんぞいつだって感触に飛ばせるんじゃぞ。それにお前だけでは足らん。大石とかいう男も呼ばんか。神聖な古出神社に捜査令状なんぞを請求した罰当たり者じゃ。
申し訳ございません。大石はただいま捜査に出ておりまして、なかなか連絡がつきにくく、私が代わって受けたまわりますので。
Ooishi's not going to take that. He's going to speak up.
どうぞおかけください。
The chief's eyes were telling me to get out of here. Perhaps I'll gratefully accept this favor. Maybe I'll go lie down in the nap room. Oh, never mind. I thought Ooishi was going to want to talk to him.
古手神社はそもそも公暦2600年に次ぐ2500年の歴史を有する神聖にして犯すべからずの聖地なのじゃ。
The law doesn't care, buddy.
八百万の神々とお社様と先祖の霊を祀り、日が昇りてから沈むまで、月が昇りてから沈むまで、それを土足で踏みにじろうというバカがいる。そもそも
How long is he going to go on for?
自由は憲法で定められた国民のもっ
Okay, yeah, right to religion, not right to have a shack that no one can ever enter.
からの捜査の怠慢を口実に汚そうという魂胆。そんなものは断じて許せんぞ。聞いておるのか、大竹が。わしを怒らせて。ただで済むと思わん方がいいぞ。
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. That's a good chapter. I don't know what to think at all. I have no idea. I feel like we've been fed a whole bunch of lies about Mion. That's kind of how I'm feeling. I feel like Mion hasn't done anything. That's my stance. So, because it would be so hard for me to believe that she is just like evil and crazy, you know, and that she's actually done anything. It would be so hard for me to believe that. Like, I just don't know. That would just be crazy to me. So, Okay. Well, I guess that's it. I don't know. I want to say more about like my theories and stuff, but I don't even know what to say. Like we gotta wrap this one up. That was a good chapter. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think, and I will see you in the next one.